Big group tonight. All right, thank you. Okay, we are going to go ahead and call the meeting to order since we are at 6 o'clock. If you'd please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, so this board meeting Monday, January 27th has been posted in all the normal and customary posting places. I'm looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed say no. Motion carries. All right, we're going to move forward into our community forum where we have a lot of students tonight to do the student showcase. So we're starting with our third grade students. Okay. We'll leave the floor to them here.
We didn't decide. We asked to go. So I'm going to start with a couple introductions. So first of all, we have Ms. Delmont, our makerspace teacher, and I'm very privileged to be here with Rachel and Ruby. So Rachel, Ruby, and Ms. Delmont are going to be going through things about our primary arcade. So really excited for our student showcase. Hopefully you're excited as I am, and I'll kick it over to.
First year, so I was just excited as the students were for the arcade, and I hope that they enjoyed it as much as they actually showed that they did. They have a couple things to share with you, except there goes the problem. There you go. Go ahead, you're up.
Yeah.
Students use engineering designs process to complete this project. The question posed to them was, how can you make a cardboard arcade game out of a given cardboard box? Students got the chance to think on their own ideas about how they have, and then they were assigned to be a part of a group to share their ideas and ultimately come up with an agreed on ideas using portions of each individual's idea. Students began building their creations to allow their ideas to be put in place. If the group demanded that something wasn't working or it didn't work the way they had planned after starting their model, they went back to explore step to rework their project with a new idea. Students then got the chance to walk in the machine while explaining their design to the peers before the actual arcade.
Okay, Ruby, would you like to explain yours?
This was the planning sheet that we used in helping create our project. It helps us stay organized, keep us on track, and help us brainstorm ideas to put into the game.
Why don't you go ahead and explain what yours is before you share the other ones? You talked about yours?
It's a claw machine, except with magnets.
Okay.
So you use this.
Put it down.
Oh.
There are the magnets. There you go.
So
Maybe
you
they showed it on top.
use this to move it around. You have to drop it where you want it to pick up from.
Do you want to tell them why it says hook it with magnets?
Because we were originally gonna do a claw machine with hooks on the clocks and hook up their prizes, but we only found one hook to actually use, and that was not enough. So then we used magnets.
So you reworked it, right? Okay, you reworked it. So what did you enjoy most about doing that project?
Working together, playing our game, and making prizes and having fun.
You want to show them what a couple of them are on the board? Can you talk about those? On the other ones?
One of them was like an air hockey. Another one was a baseball where you had to fling it and it would go in like an out, or if it went like behind that little wall, you get a home run. And the other one was like bowling, except it's basketball.
So you would So on the screen, the person at the back would put it through the ball through the hole, and there would be pins set up here, which you could only see the tips of a couple of them. And that ball, which you can see kind of in the center right here, would knock the pins down. So that's how you won if the ball actually went in the hole and knocked the pins down. So they combined two of their favorite sports.
I really appreciate this too. I walked, this is my first experience with primary arcade, and my competitiveness, of course, kicked in when I went in, but the students were really quick to point out that there's certain rules that I need to follow, and they did correct me several times, and I worked up quite a sweat, which I don't know how you would do that with a cardboard thing, but I did. So, but they were great.
And if you had to do this again, what might you change?
We would probably make like a place to drop it and figure out a way to get it to do that, and then make it come out the other side. And we would find something more stable to hold in hands. Cause they fell off a lot. A lot.
Yeah, what was the most challenging part when you guys were working on this?
Probably figuring out how to actually get it to come.
To come up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we've had string replacements, so that might be another, a stronger ribbon to work as well with that many people using it. Okay,
So one of them was just a skee ball. The other one was called Fluffy Fun, which is the one in the middle. There's like a marble one, you'd put it into the top, and then it'd go down, and there's like numbers and slots. And then that was how many points you got. And the other one was a claw machine, except you were timed. And then you had to, and then on them it said like a nice saying after. Here they're back or something.
yeah, so this claw machine had the sayings when they looked it up with the hook.
Mhm.
Okay, any new ideas that came from this?
Mhm.
Anything you thought of along the way?
Mhm.
No, we okay? I think we talked about the other ones as well. Yeah. What, sweetheart?
This one?
Yes. You're trying to get the prizes out? I think Ruby mentioned that. Okay,
Yeah.
hold on, ladies.
That big bro.
It's okay.
Ruby. Is that your certificate?
Good job, Ruby.
Rachel,
Sure.
there you go.
Thank you.
And Rachel, good
Great
job.
Good job. And here, it's something from you.
Nice.
For coming tonight. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you for helping. Thank you very, very.
All right, I'm not gonna say a ton because I want to leave it to the kids, but I'll tell you a fast story when we talk about, you're gonna hear some of the, it's not only about what they raise some money, but some of the life skills. I walked in to a classroom, of course, I'm sometimes kind of happy and loud. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And there was a group that wrote to me and said, shh. I'm like, oh, it's actually, we're going to the Humane Society, we're trying to call them, figure out how we set up to donate them. I'm really sorry. So they were, they were those life skills of not, you're gonna hear a lot of these, like I said, I don't want to do a lot of thunder, but they're on the phone with the places they were going to donate to. They did a lot of different things. So you're gonna hear about those skills. I'm gonna let the students talk to you about that. Then I'll wrap up because I have some teachers I want to thank too, but we'll have the students come on down here. Now we got a couple groups. Does the group know which one's first? You're first? All right. They're all ready to roll. Move down a little bit.
Well, just a little bit.
Oh,
Then they're gonna be on this side.
okay.
That would be great, actually. Thank you.
You don't touch it. Right there. So there we go.
Good evening. My name is Mia, and for my organization, I did the Hope Center. We are a group of students representing the fifth grade class. Today, we are going to talk to you about our community service project. We learned a lot of things on our journeys. The most important thing was that we all learned that the money or the donations that we donated wasn't important. It was about taking the time to donate help and talent. There were so many groups, but the most popular groups were HAWS, Children's Wisconsin, Wounded Warrior, Special Olympics, Elmer Command Society, and more. This was the ending project for our Rights and Responsibilities unit. Hello, everyone. My name is Bryce. I chose to help Children's Wisconsin. I will be talking about our experience we had with Children's Wisconsin. There were around 30 groups, and 13 of them chose Children's Wisconsin. Every year, Children's Wisconsin comes to visit Merton to get all of our checks and donations. It was a very cool experience. Each group got to write out a huge check and give them their donation. And at the end, we had fun facts and questions, and it was a very cool experience. And that wrapped up our time with Children's Hospital. Hi, my name is Hudson, and I also chose Children's Hospital. And in total, all of our groups of the 13 raised $4,000 and $43.85. And that was really awesome. But not only that, a bunch of groups also donated goods such as pillows, blankets, even Play-Doh. And other groups went beyond, above and beyond, and donated both money and goods.
Hello, I'm Adam. We are here to talk about Mr. Wettrick. He's a presenter that lives in Indiana. Mr. Wettrick, to me, was very motivational. His humor and seriousness at the same time was very fun to listen to. I think the whole class was pleased with the Google Hangout. My personal favorite thing about it was just hearing questions, where we would ask him a question and he would answer it. Just hearing feedback from a guy like him will help me in the future when I look back at this day.
Hi, my name is Peyton. Mr. Wettrick is very encouraging because of all the motivational speeches. He had to give us some hints about what we might have to think going into our presentation and slideshow to the class. I really thought that when he was talking to us, I thought that not a lot of people would know what to say in front of 50 kids, and he said stuff that other presenters would never say, which I thought was so fascinating and cool. And ever since then, I have always remembered that I got to talk to one of the best speakers and presenters in the country.
Hello, I'm Kale. Mr. Wettrick had lots of encouraging sayings. One of the best quotes that helped us was, when everything goes right, it's a curse, and when everything goes wrong, it's a blessing. For example, if you keep beating a video game, it's not that fun. But if it's challenging, it's more fun and it makes you think more.
Hi, I'm Keelan. And I'm Lauren. We chose Umber Humane Society as the society we raise money for.
We will be telling you about
Matt Miller's Google Hangout. One thing that was so fun about this project is being able to get tips from a professional presenter.
AKA Matt Miller. This was special because Matt Miller is a professional educator that lives all the way in Indiana. First, we will be telling you about the top 10 tips he gave our class.
And then we will be telling you every group's favorite tip.
These are Matt Miller's top 10 tips.
The first tip is the 2-minute rule. You have to hook your audience within the first 2 minutes.
The second tip is to make it visual. Your brain likes pictures.
The third tip is to tell it in a story. Everyone likes stories. I mean, does anyone here not like stories?
The fourth tip is to talk to the audience like you're talking to a friend.
The fifth tip is to tell the audience how much is left or where you're headed, like we did in the beginning.
The sixth tip is the presentation is not about me. It's about the audience. No, that doesn't sound right. I think it's not about the audience and it's about me.
No, you said it right the first time. Anyway, the seventh tip is to practice, practice, practice.
The eighth one is visual aids. For example, props or pictures that are related to your presentation.
Like these. The ninth tip is laughter. This is tricky. You have to get people to laugh at your presentation, but it has to be at the right time.
The 10th or final tip
is the closing. Leave the audience with the most important information from your presentation. The opening and closing are the two most important parts of your entire presentation. The one tip that me and Keelan used was to make people laugh by telling a story.
Another tip that Hudson, Bryce, and Mia used was to use visuals.
The tip that Adam, Peyton, and Kayla used was to practice, practice, practice.
And the final tip, the one that Piper, Roxy, and Emmy used, was to talk to the audience like you're talking to a friend.
Overall, Matt Miller's tips helped us all make a better presentation and got us all here.
So even though he's not here, we would like to thank him for his time talking to all the fifth graders, and we thank you for all your time listening to us.
Hi, I'm Roxy.
I'm Piper.
And I'm Emily. We chose Special Olympics for our organization. Tonight, we will be explaining our presentation to our peers. To start off, this project was so fun. We will always remember the fun we had during this project. We all enjoyed working together to create the slideshow. We had to put a lot of effort into the slides.
For example, there were 5 things we needed to put in it. One of the things we had to put was skills we developed. Some of the most popular ones were talking to strangers, phone etiquette, and most importantly, we learned the importance of giving your time to benefit an important organization. The other things that we had to put in the slideshows were highs and lows, what we learned, what surprised us, and Wisconsin state standards.
This project was so fun and everyone had a great way to help the organization. Some of the things people did to help the organization was to sell items including brownies, cookies, chips, lemonade, hot chocolate, bracelets, and more at 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade lunches. Other people had unique ways of helping their organization. That includes selling at concerts, hosting open gym, having a Chick-fil-A night where part of Chick-fil-A's profit went to the group's organization. And lastly, people donated time instead of money.
We are now going to share what was the most meaningful thing to us. The most meaningful thing to me was when I walked into my mom's office and there were all of my donations that I was raising, sitting on the table, and my eyes started watering because I couldn't believe that I raised all of those donations for the Hope Center. The thing that was most meaningful to me was the joy that came from helping Children's Wisconsin. It made me very happy.
The thing that was most meaningful to me, after all the effort and work we put into this, it told me that it's more about helping others than yourself.
The most meaningful thing to me was giving back to an organization that I can relate with because my dad, uncle, and grandpa served overseas in the armed forces.
The most meaningful thing to me was just being able to represent people who served in the Army and people in my family who also served in the armed forces. So I'm representing my family along with other veterans in this Rights and Responsibilities unit.
The most meaningful thing was helping out the veterans. I really like helping the veterans that served for us in the U.S. Army.
There was so many things I learned in this project, but there was one really meaningful thing to me. It was the moment when we got to hand in our money. The smile on their face let us know that we did a job well done.
There was tons of work put in this project, but the most meaningful thing to me was how me and Keelan put so much effort into this project. When we baked cookies and brownies for our bake sale, we knew that we were helping animals or pets at Unbroken Humane Society. The project is not about the animals, though. It's about the good you can do for others, and that's the most meaningful thing to me.
The most impactful thing to me was that 3 fifth graders were able to raise $862 in 3 weeks.
The thing that was most meaningful to me was that I had a connection to Special Olympics because my cousin participates in it.
The most meaningful thing to me was selling with my friends and making a lot of money.
So at the end of our so to wrap this all up, we have a spinner because at the end of our project, our best-selling thing was cookies. So we decided to have a spinner, and whatever it lands on, we'll get a cookie.
Should have made my triangle bigger. Let's see.
Let's see.
Where?
Right here.
Thank you.
All right, does anybody else have a question for the team, or do you have?
Yeah, so the real runners really is our teachers, so we want to represent them by giving each of them a cookie as well.
That's why you had three. I thought you were only doing one board member. Well, thank you for this opportunity. This is the 4th year that we have done this program. And for the audience, we didn't get to see the videos that I sent to the board. Board, did you watch them? Did you do your homework? Yeah, I told you that you did, so now I know. I want you to know that we didn't do it 4 consecutive years, but we've done it in 2019 was our 1st year, and then this is our 4th year. In 4 years, we have raised over, I don't remember the number you guys, but 23,000,
Yeah.
over $23,000 for organizations, not only in Wisconsin, but around the world. We have sent soccer kids to Africa. We did Souls for Jesus with Mr. Layman's child, Sam. And that was in Africa as well, wasn't it? So we're making, Merton is making their mark all over the world, and we couldn't be more proud. And this group especially, we want you to know that when they tell you about like, hey, we sold at the concerts, we sold at Chick-fil-A night, that was all their idea, you guys. We had nothing to do with that. So they are entrepreneurs, and we couldn't be more proud, right?
Yep.
So
Great group.
really great group.
So,
Yes.
but anyway, before you go ahead, first of all, I wanted to take a moment to, as you heard about all the different, like, all the lessons they've learned, obviously there was more than just some of the things that they took away that's valuable for them. But this doesn't just happen on its own. So I just want to give a quick round of applause to the teachers, too, for their social study teachers. All right, I do want to know if anybody has any questions for the students too. And then anybody have any questions before?
Give them a heart.
Or a comment?
Thank you.
Anybody wants to answer, talk about all the things that were good, the best things, the good things. What was the scariest or the hardest?
So that's in your highs and lows, when we know that your presentations, your highs and your lows, was asking what your lows.
One of our lows was like talking to people in the group.
Anybody else want to chime in?
Like talking to people, we had to call them, our organization, to make sure. So talking to people, strangers on the phone, probably the hardest part for me.
One of the scariest parts for us was the day that we were supposed to send the video in for the announcements. It was on Adam's computer and he was sick. So and we were lucky we sent it to Miss Jones. So she was able to send it to Miss Wilberg.
I can speak to Hudson and Bryce and Charlotte, they had to talk to me. So, they had to talk to me and, they had to, they organized an open gym night for children. I mean, they raised a ton of money, but they had to get down to the details, and it was interesting when we talked. It was about that and that. So I think the process of all of this is really powerful. And the other thing I wanted to do is, because I know I just been dealing with Hudson, Bryce's and Charlotte's team, they have to do with family. So thank you, parents, for jumping in, because we know fifth graders ain't quite organized the way everything should go. But thank you for your support through this project as well, because I know you got foot. It's pretty cool.
Parents will be sending you the videos that we're talking about tomorrow skyward, so you'll be able to see it as well.
All right, so we have some certificates for recognition, right for your name. Yeah. Move this way and you should hands in the school board. So Piper, congratulations. Rock stage. Emmy?
Congratulations. You're next. Congratulations. Anna, here we go. Ping. Congratulations. Jill. Congratulations. Hudson. And. Mr. Hannigan, Mr. Jones, thank you again very, very much. Thank you. And families, thanks for coming out this evening and thanks for all your support as well. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Everyone is welcome to stay, by the way. As they laugh and walk out.
Great spin system. That's all I gotta say.
Hey, Bob, do you guys have a presentation tonight or no? You guys did.
We have slides.
You have slides?
Same slide deck.
Same slide deck? Okay, I'll bring it up.
Of course.
But I'm settling here.
It's behind my ear.
That was excellent. All right. As they're filing out here, we'll get on to the next course of business, but great job, students. That was really great to see. And they raised a lot of money, which is fantastic. Okay, so we're moving on to our community forum, which is a chance for the community to discuss any concerns or topics related to the district with the board. This evening, we have a few folks that would like to speak. And first one on the list is Andrew Lehman.
I'd like to follow up on something from the November board meeting, and I apologize that I'm going back 2 months, but I had a prior commitment, could make it here in December. The board had a discussion, it was an agenda item regarding policy and procedure from delivering feedback to Dr. Russ regarding his mid-year evaluation, and then it also then went into his annual evaluation. So I guess I'll start with the mid-year evaluation. Did the mid-year evaluation, was there a written document given to Dr. Russ as discussed in the November board meeting?
There was, yes.
Okay. When was that delivered to him roughly?
I do remember when we had that completed. I don't remember the date that was.
Did he get it before his annual review?
He did, yes.
And then there was also a discussion amongst the board members that not all board members were aware of it, that it was a responsibility of each board member to prepare a written response. Justen, as the board president, did you get a written response from every board member?
For the semi-annual review, I did not.
You didn't.
Which
board members didn't do their job?
I don't recall exactly where I didn't get it from. But I would say in doing my research, it was not uncommon for board members not to provide feedback.
Yeah, but Justen, you were specific multiple times during that board meeting about how it's all the board's responsibility. And I think you have a copy of that policy in front of you during the board meeting.
I did.
I just find it interesting that we're going to have a dialogue about not doing that. And then 2 weeks later, people are still doing their job. So I guess my next question for the annual review in December was a written document given to Dr. Russ in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
it was.
Yep. I received it very shortly after it was compiled sometime in.
Yep. Correct.
Same, next question is the same one. Did you receive written feedback per policy or, board policy from everybody on the board?
We did for the annual evaluation. Yes, we did.
All right. My next policy question is, and this is specifically around policy 187. I'll hand this out in a second, but I'm just wondering who was responsible for unilaterally changing board policy 187 regarding this community forum and when it should be done. From what I can see, it happened in April of this year. And if I can approach, here's a copy of policy 187 for each of you.
Thank you.
And as you can see, I did highlight this a few times for you guys. It specifically states that community forum should be held before the board meeting, not during the board meeting. And I recognize that's pretty nuanced and might be nitpicky, but policies are there for a reason. And this district and prior boards spent a lot of time reviewing policies that were decades old that hadn't been touched in 20, 25, sometimes 30 years. There were some policies dating back to the 90s, I think. And so just curious of who was responsible for changing the way we were, having our community forum and kind of not looking at the policies.
So I'll speak to that. I don't recall when that change was made. Dr. Rush, do you remember when?
Is it
It's
the
April.
updated?
To you, but the March meeting had it before, and then the April meeting, which coincided when a new board came together.
Sure.
And so it was that, from what I can see off the district website.
Yeah. I don't recall a discussion around this prior to me joining the board.
Prior to each one. I think it was that's probably on me, Andrew, as it relates to just kind of taking a look at it and making sure that, again, maybe through some dialogue with some board members and not double checking
I
policy.
think that's probably kind of you to take the blame for it, but
No, I mean,
No, because I obviously, again, create the agendas and I think it was through dialogue just to making sure that it still is part of the public meeting and just kind of, instead of going into a community forum and then starting our board meeting.
Yeah.
I guess just kind of keeping it cleaner. It would have been for me. So,
yeah, I guess I would encourage, I know you said it at the last board meeting or the November board meeting about being familiar with policies. I guess I would encourage everybody to be familiar with policies. The district spent a lot of money and time going over policies that hadn't been touched. And so they're there for a reason. And I would just encourage to be familiar with them and to follow, because it just it could lead to a slippery slope of what other policies are being followed. And I'm sure this is the only one, but coming out of November and then looking at this policy, there seems to be maybe a couple that were.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. So I'll just comment on one portion. We had a very robust discussion about the review process in regards to that, because previously I agree that policies weren't necessarily being followed by previous boards as well. So there's a lot of discussion around that. And I feel like we're in a good path moving forward.
Again, I would also point out, I know you guys, I couldn't comment during the November meeting when I was here, but you brought up a policy, and that policy was in place for 1 year, and you referenced that multiple years it wasn't followed. But I don't know what was in the policy before that. I suspect you don't know what was in the policy.
No, I referenced previous policy as well.
Yeah, but what was in the previous policy?
I don't recall specifically what it was, but it involved getting feedback in the entire
point
board.
being, we're throwing stones at maybe one past, board or board members. Really is what we're trying to do here, or what you guys were trying.
No,
to
I don't think we're trying to have a process moving forward that is robust.
We've got board members, and as the leader of the board, I hope that you're holding those board members accountable that aren't getting you the paperwork that they're supposed to have.
100%, right? And the annual evaluation.
Accountability starts with you down as the leader of the board.
Right. We had a discussion with as a group and individually, and we all provided feedback on Ron's annual evaluation.
Yeah, I'm
this
talking
year.
about the semi-annual. You had 6 months to do it, and then nobody did, or some people didn't. That seems to be like the number one job of the board is to hire and supervise the superintendent. And so,
And
I
we
don't
feel
think as a constituent, it's asking a lot that the board holds itself accountable to providing the necessary oversight that is required.
So I just want to go back to policy 187 if I can.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, it was November and a lot of time has
Yeah,
passed.
I know, and I apologize.
But it says that it was adopted, and this is just for clarification for me, because again, if we're doing something right, we all have spent a lot of time on this. June 26th of 2023,
Was it modified? Is that what we're saying here? Or is this
This
date
is
not?
policy that was
updated?
adopted and put in place in June of 23.
Okay,
We are not.
and you're saying that we're not following the policy?
Correct.
Okay,
It's happening
This
during the
community
meeting.
Forum is happening during
During the
the
meeting.
board meeting.
and that started in November or where?
It started in April of 2024.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just making sure I was understanding.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. Next up, we have Katie Farchman.
Hi, everyone. As you know, or maybe you don't, January is School Board's National School Board Appreciation Month. And representing the PTO, we just want to thank you for all the time that you spend, you know, commitment of your time, your energy. We appreciate that from my cardboard expenses, some little muffins.
That's very nice of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. And thanks to the PTO.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you to you and the PTO.
Yep. Thank you. All right. That is all that I see signed up for this evening. Would anyone else like to speak to the board tonight? Okay. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. All right. We're going to move forward to approval of tonight's consent agenda. For a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda. Any discussion this evening? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. All right, moving forward to delegations to be heard. I don't think we have any this evening, Ron, correct? Did I see?
Be on there, so I
Yep,
don't think so.
okay.
Nope.
All right, then move forward to our administrators report.
Right. I'd like to welcome up Steve and Bob for their principal's report on the student survey results.
Bob, I take the lead on this. Obviously, this is something our culture team come up with a couple of years ago. We know we student school perceptions, we do this with our staff, we do this with their families. We should do this with our students too. We want to hear their voice, we want to see how they're doing, what they're doing. Now we're starting to have just a little bit of some trend data. We've given this a couple of years now. I'm gonna Bob move to the slides. So our culture team looked at this last year too. We kind of wanted, now I'll share some highlights here. I know the board has all the information, but I thought I would just highlight a few things. So let's just kind of start again with our top 5 scoring items. I think it's always awesome to highlight like what's going well. I think that thing that stands out to me, and I kind of touched base on this last year, but this really, again, I mean, if you look at the percentile, first of all, it's incredible. We're looking at the 98th, 96th, 95th percentile. We were basically scoring better than most middle schools across the country. And so when we look at this, we're looking at the students themselves. We're looking at success. We're looking at my parents and guardians. They have to put home that can help them. The teachers treat them with respect. So we're looking at staff, looking at family, we're looking at our students. And then even things like, I have friends to sit with or hang out at lunch. And I know Mrs. Matson, or having full-time council here, really have started to try to make sure and even our lunchroom supervisors that kids feel comfortable in that area. Because we've all been to middle school, we all know cafeteria time, remember those times. So I just think there's a lot to celebrate here. We can celebrate every stakeholder when we. That's a huge thing. And if we look at some of the growth things on the next slide, it's actually the growth one. And even though some of it's hard to grow and you're like 95, you're going to 97. But even one of the things that one of the biggest growths and just the 96 percentile is most kids follow the rules at school. We've done a lot of work on our culture. Our culture team created a matrix, sort of a flow chart goes, what do we do when students aren't following those? We're doing class meetings every quarter with each class to kind of highlight those things to our students. And so those are important things. So that was really, really great to see. And you can see I can be myself at school. I thought that was kind of a, even though it was high last year, just to continue to have that move up, I thought was a positive thing. And then my teachers explain themselves. They talk to people outside of school what I'm learning. And I have friends who help me. So all things that we've kind of been working on to say, it's kind of interesting to see we kind of grow in those areas. And then I took the least amount of growth from items. And one of them I thought was kind of interesting. I can go online or use a device at school when I need it. Well, I actually don't mind that one dropped a little bit. So it's purposeful, I think, with our curriculum too. I think with our curriculum, we don't want kids on it. If they need it, they can get online. Mr. Benny's really good to make sure that happens. We know we have the capability to do it. They might not always, might want to go online for other reasons. But when we look at some of these things too, I feel safe answering questions in class when I'm not sure I have the right answer. What I didn't post up here, but I know you have there's some kind of cool breakdown in there in the survey itself, saying like, what causes me not to learn? It's like I'm stressed out, or I don't get enough sleep, or there's disruptions in the classroom. And so that is the data that actually worked. That's the slide that my culture team will be looking at next. So this tells us some pretty good things. This is some really good things to celebrate. Even some of the slides, because a lot of them are really high and moving down a point or two, but really kind of digging into that one side that says, why are kids stressed out? Why are kids saying we're following the rules, which is great. I mean, it's huge, but then they're saying there's, what are the disruptions in the classroom that they do learn? So those are the questions that I have, and the team will have to look at that. So the next point is to bring that to the culture team. Then how do we bring that to the students? Like, I think one of the ideas that's already started in the conversation is bringing them to the students. We've got students that we've got NJHS. We've already got a into the students that we can talk to them about that and find a little bit what they're feeling.
It was interesting with I was talking to a couple of Steve's teachers. And, the one that they really took offense to, they're like, if help needed, or if needed help, and I can talk to my people outside of class. They're like, we are available, people are upcoming. They were just like, wow, how are we going to make sure that reception? Because, you walk around there are teachers giving a lunch period, preps and stuff like that working, but how do we do a better job of communicating that we are accessible? So
right.
That was one of the,
yeah, because I don't know if I've ever seen them in yeah, there's always quizzes coming up, and the kids today, they were both methods were full of kids too, but asking what does that mean to them? That the question then is asking the students, what does that mean for them? Does that mean, yes, I have access to math, but I had questions about a project in science I didn't get a chance or something like that. What does that mean to them? So that's really what our next steps are looking at, and it's not from the slides here, but I know the board's got to see the breakdown of some of these. So I'll take some questions.
Actually, mine is not because I looked through this. First of all, that teacher perspective, they could step in and we could ask us. We could not find one. I think it's interesting that it's 10 to 50% lower on things like I worried about the writing. All the ones that I see are lower on and the social skills are. There's the difference between the opportunity to ask someone a question, especially if you're in somebody's higher power, and having practice doing that, and it wasn't. So I'm wondering if it's less about, not that I think much teachers can do that. I don't know. Start and they worry about.
You're behind each other.
But also at the time, if kids are very aware that. If you're not homework, even kids know that they need to be lucky, then they do. Stressed, so they are. But that's very hard. Well, I was found out somebody else did the thing. I asked about it. So one of the things I've been talking a lot about is are there ways that we work that practice in so you have the opportunity to try writing the question, all the things that are lower in social aren't social for social. I understand how important sort of original statements are. But the ones that are problem solving, all the social things in this, the one are problem solving. So how can we practice them so they feel more comfortable? Already, what the huge hurdles of kids being respected by. A lot of schools who have, if they have, they're not, that's not ours. So we are on practice.
Seems our data pretty consistent across grade levels. We see.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty consistent. I would say you see a little bit of a dip. Yeah. Just when I say a dip, just like when you look at it, this doesn't look to like really low numbers. But if there's some really nerdy stuff to look into, you can go by grade level. When it's in the red, doesn't mean that we're scoring in the red. It's like it's still a little compared to seventh grade, sixth grade, and so there's a little bit of that. And
then one of the lower areas, what you just said, follow you think that's the hand.
Well, if I go back, I think that one. Go back, that one actually. I mean,
got a little better.
Jumped right, and then
overall, right, compared to speed, but
right.
But Justin, what you're referring to is what distracts me from learning.
correct.
We're at 67% of
What do
our
we
kids.
think? Why did we think they said kids follow most kids? Why is that? Lower schools?
I think. I mean, just in general, when we've got 400 middle school kids together, I think, that's the thing that you drill down more like, when they feel like they don't follow the rules at lunchtime, you get skip them in lunchtime. Right, that could be one kid's perception of not, they don't follow rules. I get skipped off, I might get skipped, or I don't, they don't do what you're supposed to do in the playground exactly. Is it, or is it classroom? That's kind of a wide thing.
Yeah. I mean, what do you guys think? Is it that? Outside of classroom stuff, or is it things happening?
My general thought is stuff outside of class.
That's in your group. Watching.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
I want to be social part of it.
Yeah.
Somebody's sick with me, that's gonna stick with me.
Yeah, like the one trend that I found over 30 years is that most people do much better. I mean, we do a great job most of you do a really good job when there's an adult in the room or adult in eyes. But all of a sudden there's only one bus driver on the playground, there's only two people, or in the hallway sometimes there's supervision there, but when eyes aren't on, sometimes that's when obviously most.
That's consistent at the primary level. If you look at our behavior referrals, which we, by the way, don't have a ton, it's during that recess playground time, or that unstructured time.
And I listen to the Brian to bring up the distracted behavior. They think it's. That's
Be interesting to see what they mean. when I'm in the classroom, that it's not distracting behavior, but a lot of things can distract with. I mean, not necessarily, sometimes something just that. I mean, there's a huge range of. I don't see it. There's swirling around it. That's really the big distraction. It might just simply be, could be a lot of little. That's where the drilling down to ask kids is. I'm never distracted. Is it?
We're asking kids to self-report theirs.
Seven might be classes. So, because I mean, the way that one of the room design with pretty big screens with it's important. And I wouldn't be totally surprised. We don't have vision screen. I don't think people doing vision screen kids young, but it is something interesting to think about because.
So Lions would love to do it for the entire school. That's why I'm talking because I'm the one coordinating it at the primary school. I think it's sadly why we would end. Although I will say this from.
I'm not saying that's the only reason. I'm
But
just
having been in a few classes, I think that the. College level too, when people put their slides together, they put it together when they are 12 inches from the screen, and then they show it to a whole room. And really quickly, the tightness is small. And if we try to put too much on the page, and it is one of the biggest presentation mistakes in every profession. If there's too much of it, you think, oh, yes, I can see it, but you didn't think about it being. I don't know if this is happening. I didn't notice that. I thought, I didn't see it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you. She'll get off it. It's nice to be able to see some trend time. Well, I mean, it's only year two, but now it's already having a little bit of time.
And we do get to deep down into fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade. And the nice part about that is in fourth and fifth grade, I mean, there's a group of people that own that. Right, sixth or eighth grade, we've got 20 teachers, Steve. That's kind of hard to extrapolate compared to that really nice.
Thank you all.
So, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Newcomer, Mr. Blessington.
Only other
Yeah,
open records, it's some really small, typical ones, you know, through various organizations in the state or, so yeah, nothing big this last 6 weeks, so. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Ron. Moving forward to committee reports.
Sure. So before the meeting tonight, we did have a student achievement committee, and again, it was led by Maria Kacharski. If you do get a chance, please take a look at the Act 20 update. It is, there's a ton of work, and again, a big thank you to Maria, Bob, the reading team, and all of our K-3 staff. We've got our parents involved. It is a very, very big lift, and you've heard that a lot, and we've been talking about it almost for a year now. So a lot of great things in there. Again, we are on track, making sure that we're compliant. And really, and again, it was interesting, Justen brought up about, you know, the parent aspect, and Maria showcased about how we're making sure parents get this information, all the way from making sure it's FERPA and COPA compliant, about double authentications and stuff. So, but again, some really great stuff in that update. And again, it's just a big commitment from our team. And again, thank you, Maria, Bob, and our literacy team certainly too as well.
Well, I was happy to hear NextPath, that NextPath is working so well that it's fantastic. Thank you for the recommendation to take that on.
A really, really small tool is saving us a ton of time. So then we did a continuous improvement update. Again, just kind of again, as we took a look at our strategic plan and about what we wanted to kind of achieve in those three key areas. Again, a lot of greens and yellows moving forward. We are going to be pausing the 4K adoption just out of capacity, truly is, as well as our 4K is also going through all the science of reading training and things like that too. So even though they're not required per Act 20, they are still doing a lot of that science of reading training and really make sure that we're solid at the 4K to ultimately, as they grow through our organization, we can continue to lower those numbers. Again, Justen asked that question too about what we can kind of think about seeing as our new curriculum kicks in, and particularly around the phonemic awareness piece.
And there's still a lot of things from the state that they have not followed through on either.
Correct.
So that's important for people to know that local districts are doing their part and the state is not necessarily doing their part to follow through on the quote unquote promises they made when this act was passed. So talk to your local congressman. Mention, that would be great for us to execute fully on this program.
Yeah,
so.
and they've got a lot of money for it too, so we could like some of that. And then finally, we did have a conversation around our Merton values update from a strategic planning standpoint. And again, as you can see in the memo, the second step is at a 6-8 level is expiring. And so we had a conversation around that because if we could rewind into March of 2024, the board made an official action allowing parents to opt into second step. Well, since that is expiring, our administrative team is recommending not to renew that. So underneath kind of a technicality, the board needs to, we would believe, just to kind of cover ourselves, that the board would act and either rescind that motion or
If there is no rescinding, then that means the district needs to pursue second step as an opportunity and offering for our students in 6th through 8th grade. The committee also discussed about what kind of the long-term vision of the Merton values is, as we take a look at more of a big picture. And the consensus coming out of the committee is to bring it to the February agenda to have discussions as an entire board about the future of the Merton values, how we may want to address that, and then ultimately address the motion that was made in 2024 to either affirm second step or to rescind that. So more to come on that, but again, having a full discussion with the board on February.
And a big part of that recommendation was just the low enrollment in the SEL program, correct? 6th through 8th. Continue that path.
Offering that based off of the enrollment when families opt in.
Yeah. Okay. It's under 30 students opted in grades 6, 7, and 8. So that's approximately about 10%. So again, just having a global discussion about it and then engaging the entire board on what those next steps might be.
What kind of deadline is there on making decisions for curricular?
For curriculum, because ultimately we have our course guide that's getting ready to probably send out in April.
We have a timeline to go to families in April, so the board would have to make a motion. Otherwise, it's, you know, how we view it, we continue the option that the board made. Otherwise, because at that time, they kind of select, so we know what we have in courses, and then parents at registration verify there. But we get primary numbers, so we know how to stack.
So there was some information requested from the student achievement team, which is the price if we were to continue second step, about what that might look like, about what the original motion was when we purchased second step, and then ultimately kind of answering the question, how many students exactly registered or families registered for that second step programming too. So we'll have all that information ready for the board come February. So, okay. All right. Finally, we had a finance committee meeting a week or so ago. Again, you'll see the quarterly update. We are right on track with what we have done in the past as it relates to revenues and expenditures. Just a reminder that not everything is always 50% in school district world as it relates to revenues. Again, as of December 31st, we still didn't receive a tax payment. So we should be receiving that before January 31st. So then you'll see our bank accounts go up, which is nice in that standpoint. So the revenues will start to even out into that 100% about what we expect. From expenses too, again, I think we're right around that 35, 36% right now. When I look at prior years, again, anywhere between 35 and 38% of spend. Again, why aren't we 50%? Our teacher salaries, which is a huge amount of dollars that are devoted to teacher salaries, they are not July 1 to June 30th. They are September through August. So that means they're a little bit behind in their compensation for this fiscal year, which means that's why we're not at 50%. So don't be alarmed at that. Again, longitudinally, we are just right where we really want to be from that standpoint too.
Ron, I had a question on in the rationale on early budget scenarios. I just don't think I understand what you mean by this. The largest difference this year is we only send 82 students to high school, which I get, compared to last year, we spent 109. And increase in 10 new 5K families, as has been in the past. What is as has been in the past?
In the past. So when we take a look at, well, that's a really good question. When we take a look at our new enrollments, again, we're budgeting 10 right now. A year ago, we had 18 new families come in. So when we take a look at our current 4K numbers, because we know not every family takes 4K, takes the opportunity, could be, you know, for whatever different reason. So when we take a look at new residents who weren't part of our 4K, I'm planning on 10 more. Now, historically, and we've had anywhere between 9 and 20, basically, and you'll see that in kind of the open enrollment information. So that's one of the rationales kind of you're highlighting with the budget assumption is that why now finally, I do believe we are anticipating to have a higher butt and seat count, more students physically present, because a year ago, we had more students than we do now. And you're just like, well, what's happening? We're just growing. Well, when you send large numbers of kids to Arrowhead and replace them with a smaller number, you have a gap to already overcome. We feel that that gap is no longer going to be equal now. for the most part. So that's where some of that additional revenue is coming in from those early budget assumptions. Again, now that Rebecca brought it up, they are early. Again, like even today, I had a conversation with our health insurance representation, and they talked about, hey, we're setting ourselves up to look really, really good, because this past year, they're like, Ron, this was bad. And I was like, oh, and we only got an 8.5% increase. So that's really good. So, and again, that's why preliminarily, just to kind of be safe, it's a 15% increase. But again, there's assumptions in there that help us drive to make financial decisions as we're moving forward. And as we plan for the next fiscal year or next school year as well. So we're sitting very good, again, because we are a growing school district. I mean, and you've highlighted some of that growth there. A typical school, I shouldn't say typically developing, typical school district is either flat or declining, which means they don't get those new dollars that we're assuming there too.
And we'll probably have one more year of where our FTE goes up because of the rolling 3-year.
Correct. Yeah, because when you replace 794 with 894, right there's your 30 right there too. So eventually, again, you don't want to have this roller coaster. You want to settle it. And that's really where you want to be. So it's really predictable.
So as of that today, Ron, you were anticipating a small surplus of 150,000.
A small surplus as of right now. That doesn't include any new staffing that would be possibly needed, whether it be in the area of special education, reading needs. I mean, depending on reading plans, that's where we're at right now.
And that's for the district getting an additional 600,000 plus dollars.
Correct. Yep. That's assuming
revenue
very conservatively the 325 and some of those new revenues with some of our revenues coming on.
Okay.
You got it.
All right.
Okay. We'll keep everybody posted on those budget assumptions because it's critical.
Very good. Any other discussion? Great. All right. Thank you, Ron. Moving forward to new business. We need to approve the 25-26 open enrollment seat allocation.
So what you have, again, unfortunately, we need to make these determinations in January. This is per state statute. So what you have in front of you is the administrative recommendation. We've been working on this literally since December, because again, this is truly when you start talking about budget factors, about class sizes and things like that. So what you have is our recommendation. And again, we would like to offer seats at every grade level. We do believe that is more attractive to families too as well, because if you've got a first grader and a sixth grader, and if you don't have any spots in sixth grade, all of a sudden, well, I can't apply because it really doesn't go there. So that's why, again, we feel that these numbers with the additional residents, and again, you've seen the history of new residents coming in. Again, we've described that and showcased that this is where we would like to be. So the administration is recommending the board make a motion to approve the 25-26 open enrollment seat allocations as follows there. So
we have to read each one.
And we'd have to read each
Can
one.
make the motion. Want to do it?
No,
I was just gonna ask,
We have discussion.
I was gonna ask a question about the motion.
Okay.
Can we lump all the grades together, or do we need to do individual motions per grade?
No, all of the grades can be
Okay.
lumped together underneath one motion. We just need to specify 4K unlimited.
All right.
K8. Yep.
Dean,
Okay. I'm just gonna use the list here. I'll make the motion that we follow the administrative recommendation on open enrollment for seat allocations. 4K unlimited, 5K 8, first grade 5, second grade 5, third grade 5, fourth grade 6, fifth grade 4, sixth grade 4, 7th unlimited, 8th unlimited, and cross categorical special education 0, and speech only IEPs unlimited.
second,
All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the administrative recommendation for open enrollment seats for the 2025-26 school year. We have to read them all again.
Nope, you're good.
Okay. All right.
As
As the motion states. Any discussion?
Ron, how do we compare to, let's say, Heartland Lakeside with I'm looking at the assumptions of students per class, right? So this would put, if this was what we were going to get for open enrollment, that looks at 24 students per class in third grade and 24 in fourth grade. How does that compare with other places in our Heartland Lakeside? I feel like it's the closest in our number of students.
I couldn't respond. I can't respond to that specifically at this time without having their information. I know it's very competitive in the area. very competitive in the area, these class sizes.
So I think that'd be useful to have one for decision making, but also when we are having people who are looking, if we know that information, we're saying we're very competitive. If we can show how we're very competitive, that would be good data for people to make decisions with.
And I'm pretty sure I have that data. I just don't have it to discuss right now.
And these are open enrollment seats, not guaranteed people are coming to fill these seats. We don't
Correct,
always
yes.
fill all of our seats.
We
Never
typically
fill-
never
fill
ever
all of our
fill
seats.
any seats. A year ago, we did have, I think we had one spot and we had 2 people apply and the board was like, bring 'em on. Because again, just because you apply, again, a family can apply to 3 different school districts. They have to decide one moving forward. So right around in June, July. So, but yeah, I don't remember a time when we ever hit our cap. Yeah, when we did put it.
So are you referring max class size? If
like
everybody
came.
chose, and we
If
filled all
everybody
those
came,
seats.
yep. That's why we feel that 24 max, even in 3rd grade and 4th grade is more than appropriate. If we need to.
It doesn't limit us to make a decision on sections.
Correct.
if we
Yep.
fill up, right? So.
Correct. Exactly. Absolutely, Justin. Thank you for bringing that up.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the motion as presented to the 2025-26 open enrollment seat allocations, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, we will push that out. A big thank you to Katie Liefeld, who is our open enrollment coordinator, who will begin to communicate that out as well. So.
Okay, we are moving forward to approve administrative contracts.
So per board policy 222, the board is required to act on contracts who are in need of extension and or approval in this January. So want to be noted again that the salaries are not set. We will determine salaries when we determine staff compensation later in the spring. I'm recommending that the board make a motion to approve the proposed administrative contracts for Maria Kacharski, Steve Newcomer, Robert Blessington, Lori Viola Larson, and Jim Binney as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the administrative contracts of Maria Kacharski, Steve Newcomer, Robert Blessington, Lori Viola Larson, and Jim Binney as presented. Any discussion? So just for housekeeping, these are 2-year rolling contracts that we approve annually.
Yep. So by approving this, if the board, it would be then for 25 to 27 or 2 school years.
2 school years.
You got it. Yep.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the administrative contracts of Maria Kucharski, Steve Newcomer, Robert Blessington, Lori Viola Larson, and Jim Binney as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
I'll make the motion that we approve the contract for Dr. Russ for the next 2 years.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Dr. Russ's contract for the 2020, for the next 2 school years, right?
2 school years. Yep.
As presented. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving Dr. Russ's administrative contract, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We are on to future meeting and agenda items.
So we, last time we set February 17th. Is that still a good date for everybody?
Works for me.
President's Day.
Works for me.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And at that meeting, we will, we'll have that student achievement follow-up regarding the Merton values. And then also we are going to be having some policy work. I am going for an upcoming meeting. I will bring that policy 187 just to back to the policy committee on February 3rd. So we can take a look at that and decide how we want to move that forward.
Yeah, and any information you have on how we ended up with this discussion we had this evening on that would be great.
Sure. Got it.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Anything else for future agendas?
And then is March 31st still good? And then April 28th, I put that one as the last Monday.
Yes.
April 20th.
April 20th, I'm sorry, April 20th.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Make move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning, say yes. Yes. Opposed, say no. Motion carries.